Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about my day trading strategy and go over the basics of how I like to trade. In future videos, I'll be breaking down in more detail, step by step, how I like to trade. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want to learn about my step-by-step process and how I go about day trading. Alright, so first let's start off with the chart settings that I like to use. I like to trade on the 3-minute time frame from start to finish. So I don't use any other time frame. I could occasionally switch time frames, but for the most part I just strictly use the 3-minute time frame. I don't use the daily, the weekly, the hourly. I strictly get my levels based off the 3-minute time frame. I like to use high connection candles. It's a preference that I have. I personally like it more than regular candles because it's just easier to read for me. It's a preference. As far as indicators, I use the 9 or 8 EMA. Sometimes I switch back and forth with that. So the 9, the 21 EMA, and the 200 EMA. I have VWAP or VWAP, however you pronounce that. I have that up on my chart settings as well. And I also like to look at the MACD. For the most part, these indicators, I don't depend on them to give me an entry or an exit point, but I like to have them up sometimes to determine and be able to see, what the trend is, and just get an overall sense of how the market is, whether if it's showing strength to the upside or if it's showing weakness to the downside. So I don't depend on them, but I sometimes do have them up. The way I go about trading SPY, I like to take breakouts of what I consider to be strong levels, and then I like to have a target that is wide enough from my entry point to make the trade worth it, and that's where I plan to sell is my profit target. And then I look to have proper confirmation to enter the trade, and if all those three things check out, then I like to take an entry and stay in the trade until it hits my target or if it hits your stop loss. I'll show you a visual representation of what I'm talking about here so you can get a better understanding. And I'm going to use today as an example. Today is January 23rd, 2023. For today's example, my strong level is the pre-market high of 397.12. That is my strong level here. And another strong level that I have is the pre-market low of 395.14. Now that I have those levels set, I have to prepare myself and get my profit target ready for whatever breakout presents itself, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. So in this specific example, I'm going to look for a profit target in case we break to the upside. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I go about that. So if I'm planning to take a breakout above this blue line, then I simply scroll back to the most recent price action that is above my breakout line. So let's go ahead and do that. As you see, the first price action that we have above the breakout line of 397.12 is up here, and that was on January 18th, so about 5 days prior. So then I look and determine where is a significant level, where was a strong support, where was a strong resistance, or what is an area that caused a big move, right? So for this, I determined that the high of this area, here let's use the box. For this specific day, I determined that the high of this day was the area that I would use for my profit target, because you see that ran into this 400 area and then it dropped. I consider that to be a significant level, and that's where I would want to place my target. But I like to use a more specific area than just a box. So if I want to be aggressive, I can put it here at the just under 400, which would be 399.93. I usually like to use the body of the candle as my target. I don't really go for the wick. So if I want to be aggressive, I can put it here at 391.91. But sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit conservative and want to play it a little safe, then I bring it down a little bit. And for today's example, I brought it down to 399.50. So at that point, I know that if we clear this level with proper confirmation of 397 and we have good confirmation, then we have a clear path to get to the next significant area, which would be this 399 400 level, right? Okay, so now let's go to today's price action. Okay, now let's go back to today's price action. So now that we have our level set, this is the breakout level and this is our target. Let's fast forward and see what happened today. So as you see right here, there's a big breakout, right? You can see the size of this candle right here, but half of the candle is underneath and the other half is above it. That to me is not confirmation. I prefer when the entire candle closes above it or the overwhelming majority of the candle closes above it. So I would wait an extra candle, and as you see the next one, the entire body of the candle closed above it. So that to me is confirmation that this trade is valid. At that point, you have a choice to make. You could enter right then and there, or you can wait for a pullback. But you already have your confirmation with that candle because the entire candle closed above it, right? So now let's fast forward. We had a very long wick to the downside, but it quickly recovered, right? And then after that, it was starting to show some strength again to the upside. And now we're showing more strength to the upside. And then there it is. It hits the target, and that's where I did get out today. And there it hit the target right here. You know, it's very straightforward and simple. It went beyond the target, which is fine. Sometimes it might hit the target and go past it, but you can't be greedy. You got to take what's part of your trade, your piece of the pie in the trade. And for me, it was from this area to this area. That was the trade. I can't get greedy and think that it's always going to continue to go past the target. There's plenty of times where it hits the target and it completely falls. So had you stayed in it, you're going to give away a lot of profit. You have to be disciplined and follow your trading plan. And that's exactly what I did today. That's a basic overview of how I like to trade. I determine my strong levels. I take the breakout with proper confirmation and I take it to the next significant level. In the future, I'll do more detailed breakdowns on how I go about finding my levels, my targets, proper confirmation, and other tips and advice that I have based on the strategy that I use. It's pretty simple and straightforward once you get the hang of it. The reason I like this strategy is because price action doesn't really determine when I get out. For example, once I knew that I'm in the trade here, I know that either my stop loss is going to hit or it's going to hit my target for the most part, right? Anything in between is really just a bunch of noise and doesn't really matter once you have your plan set. And that's why I like it, because I'm not going to let this candle fake me out. I already know where my destination is, and it's to the next significant level. So that's a basic overview of how I like to trade. I'll do more trade recaps, breakdowns in the future. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.